Welcome to EMTB videos. This is the 2019 Merida eOne-Sixty. It's got 27.5 plus tires and Shimano SLX brakes. I do wish they had picked the M520 dual piston brakes instead, but I guess they weren't available when the 2019 model was spec'd. The SLXs are okay though. Being single piston brakes, they're not ideal for the longer descents. For everything else, they're good. I like the lever feel. The action is light and the brakes are easy to modulate. The derailleur, shifter and the 1146 tooth cassette is from the 11-speed SLX line too. The SLX shifters aren't the most refined, but I've got no complaints. It's sensible and well-functioning components. The dropper post is 125mm. It's really enough for me, but I prefer 150mm. Oh, and the battery is 500 watt-hours. During my testing, I've swapped a few parts of the bike. I installed a 5mm longer 50mm stem with 5 degrees of negative rise. Being a 181cm rider on a medium bike, those few extra millimeters of stem felt right, and the negative rise got the handlebars a bit lower. I was riding a bit with a 29er wheel up front, and the lower handlebar felt necessary. I swapped the original E8000 motor remote for a smaller E6000 remote, and I ran all tires tubeless. This dropped the weight of the original wheel set by almost 400 grams, and it added to the nimble feeling of the bike. The eOne-Sixty 800 is originally about 22.8 kilos, pedals included. The suspension is from RockShox. Up front is the Yari fork. A lot of mid-priced EMTBs are using the Yari because it's a good fork. It's not the most supple, but thanks to its 35mm fork legs, it's a sturdy fork that can handle big hits at speed. Out back is the Super Deluxe shock. Setting up the Super Deluxe should be pretty straightforward. Set the sag to some 25% and adjust rebound damping, but I had to fiddle a bit to get the performance I expected from the rear suspension. I was expecting the rear end to track the ground better, and I had to set up the shock with a bit more sag to make the rear wheel settle. I suspect the single pivot-based suspension design is partly to blame. I assume removing a volume reducer band in the shock to alter the characteristics would make setup a bit easier, considering I'm a pretty lightweight rider. But I never got that far as I found a setup I was happy with. When I first got the eOne-Sixty, I expected it to be a gravity-oriented bike. I mean, it's a 160mm travel bike with a decent wheelbase. One could argue the 66.5 degree head angle is a bit steep for an enduro bike, but this is a 2016-2017 design, and 66.5 was considered somewhat slack a few years ago. But the bike didn't descend as confidently as I expected. The reason is simple. This isn't really a burly enduro bike. It's a long travel and pretty aggressive trail bike, and it's handling tight corners as well as jumps. The rear suspension design makes sense on this kind of bike. The eOne-Sixty was among the first bikes to use the Shimano E8000 motor. The compact motor allowed new frame designs on EMTBs. When I rode this bike back in 2017, it was a revelation. The eOne-Sixty was a game changer on trails. It was surprisingly nimble. On the older frame designs, I was used to picking a line on the descents and being stuck in that line. If the line choice was bad, all I could do was brake or hold on. Now I was able to move around more on the trails, bouncing between lines and launching off obstacles rather than rolling over them. This EMTB was riding more like a conventional bike. It didn't take long before a lot of the competition offered bikes with the E8000 motor though. So today there are a lot of bikes that can compete with the eOne-Sixty riding characteristics, but the Merida is still a serious contender. Not everyone liked the looks of the Merida though. Some people like the look of a bike with an external battery. Some can't stand it. If you can accept or even like the looks, you are rewarded with a surprisingly lightweight bike that is quite cheap in some markets. Price and weight are two big advantages of the external battery design.